Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. My name is Siti Ritonga from 4B class. So, guys, today I would like to present about research question and hypothesis. Okay, guys. In this presentation, I will explain the definition of research question and hypothesis, their characteristic types, and how to write them effectively in research. Now, let's start with the definition of research question. Alright, research questions are specific questions that guide study and determine what data need to be collected. There are three main functions of research question. Yeah, the first, they help focus the research. Researchers know exactly what they want to investigate. Second, they guide data collection. This means researchers can be decide what information is needed. Alright, the last, researchers question help analyze findings because all collected data will be connected to the questions being studied. So research questions play an important role in keeping research organized and focused. After understanding research question, let's move on to hypothesis. A hypothesis is a prediction or a temporary answer to a research problem that can be tested through data collection. A good hypothesis has several characteristics. First, it should be clear and specific so that readers can easily understand it. And the second, must be testable. It means it can be proven or rejected through research. The last, a hypothesis should be based on theories or previous research findings. And yet, these characteristics help researchers develop strong and meaningful hypotheses. Now, let's see how research questions are used in qualitative research. Yeah, in qualitative research questions have several characteristics. What they are? Yeah, the first is they are open-ended. Open-ended. It meaning participant can provide detailed answers. And the second, they explore participants' experience, opinions, and perspective. The third, qualitative research seeks understanding rather than prediction. In other words, researchers want to know how people experience or interpret a phenomenon. Next, let's compare this with quantitative research. Unlike quantitative research uses research questions that are more specific and measurable. There are 3 points important characteristics. The first, they focus on variables. The second, they use measurable data, usually in the form of numbers. And the last, they often compare groups or examine relationship between variables. Because quantitative research deals with numerical data, the questions must be clear and focused. Alright, that brings us to the different types of quantitative research question. Yeah, there are three common types of quantitative research question. The first is descriptive question. The question describes a particular variable or situation. For example, asking about students' average study time. The second is comparative questions. Yeah, this question compared two or more groups to identify difference between them. The third is relationship question. This question examines whether two variables are related to each other. The three types help research investigate different aspects of a problem. Besides research question, researchers should also use hypotheses. Alright, move on to types of hypothesis. There are two main types of hypothesis. Yeah, the first is the null hypothesis or H0. This hypothesis states that there is no relationship or no difference between variable. Okay. The second is the alternative hypothesis or H1. Yeah, this hypothesis states that a relationship or difference does exist. Yeah, in research, the null hypothesis is usually tested first. Yeah, based on the results, researchers decide whether it should be rejected or not. Now let's discuss how to write good research question. Okay guys, to write a good research question, there are several important criteria. The first, the first is it should be clear. Yeah. The second is should be focused on a specific topic. The third, it must be researchable, meaning it can be investigated through research. The fourth, it should be relevant to the study. And, and last, it should be specific. Okay, for example, the question, how does social media use affect students' academic performance? So guys, in this question is a good research question because it is clear and focused. Meanwhile, the question, what about social media is too broad and unclear? Okay guys, after writing a good research question, researchers also need to write good hypotheses. Okay, move on to writing good hypothesis. A good hypothesis should meet several requirements. First, it must be testable. Second, it should be based on theory or previous research. The third, it should clearly state the relationship between variables. And the fourth, it should be clear and measurable. Okay, let me give example. Students who study more than 2 hours per day will achieve higher test score than those who study less. So this hypothesis is wrong because it clearly and predict an outcome and identifies the variable involved. Next, move on to conclusion. In sum up, there are several key points that we can learn from this material. Okay, the first, research question guide the direction of a study. Second, hypothesis provide prediction can be tested. The third, qualitative studies mainly use research question. The fourth, quantitative studies use both research question and hypothesis. And the last, clear research question and hypothesis improve the overall quality of research. Okay guys, therefore researchers should carefully formulate both research question and hypothesis before conducting a study. Okay, these are of my presentation about research question and hypothesis. Thank you very much for your attention and listening. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.